The buzzword today seems to be social distancing. So I wanted to do a video on what is social distancing and 15 ideas for how you can stay sane even when you are at home. So social distancing first is a public health practice that aims to keep healthy individuals away from sick individuals to stop the spread of contagious diseases. It's really important for controlling a pandemic or any kind of disease. The problem is it means that people get very isolated. If you're an extrovert, this is the worst news ever. You're like, what am I gonna do? Introverts are like, I've been preparing for this moment my entire life. And if you're an ambivert like me, somewhere in between, you're like, okay, maybe a couple of days, but how am I going to get my connections? So whether you're an extrovert, introvert, or ambivert, here are a couple of ways that you can use this time to maintain your connections, learn something, and hopefully see the silver lining in social distancing. So let's go into some ideas for things that you can do right now if you are in isolation. Number 1, organize your photos or send one to a loved one. One of my favorite projects to do, because it immediately increases positive memories, is to organize my old photos, create albums, print up some postcards, and this is the second point of this tip, which is as you're going through your old photos, print some, send some postcards. In times like this, we need reminders to be positive. So printing up a postcard or a photo and sending it to someone you love is a way of saying, I'm thinking of you, and it will totally brighten their day. Print some up for your walls, print some up for your desk, send a postcard to someone you love, go through those photos. It's a really great way to spend the time, and it's a great way to bring up some nostalgia. Idea number 2, create some playlists. Remember back in the day when you created mixtapes for the people that you love? The modern day equivalent of that is creating playlists for people that you love. So go into your music and create playlists for a couple people you care about. Create a working playlist, create a meditation playlist, create a sleep playlist. We're all having trouble working out, create a dance playlist or a workout playlist. It is the modern equivalent of sending a mixtape, and I promise if someone gets a custom-made playlist from you, it will totally make their day, and then maybe you can listen to it together. Tip number 3, spring clean. Haven't you been meaning to clean out that closet or your garage or that junk drawer? Now is the time. Turn on your favorite show or that playlist you just created and do a big spring clean out. This will be great for donating items. It's really good for creating space. It's also a good way to get rid of allergens and dust and pollen, and all that space you'll create will be so nice. So take that time, clean out something in your house. Number 4, do some science-based goal setting. What happens in times like these is we get really in our head and we focus a lot on the short term, the breaking headlines, the day-to-day news, the next few weeks. But the truth is we have a lot left in our life, a lot of good times coming. And so this can be a great time to take a step back and do some long-term future planning. I have a science-based goal setting framework that I love to teach. Watch that entire free tutorial, or to sit down and ask yourself, what do you want your life to look like in a year, in 5 years? In 10 years? Those questions help get you into long-term thinking more optimistically, and will also help you with these next few tips of what projects do you want to tackle? What do you want to learn? What skill do you want to take up? This goal setting can actually help you use this time productively. Tip number 5, spruce up your LinkedIn. One of the best investments you can make for a recession in yourself, career insurance, is to make sure that your network is really robust. So go onto your LinkedIn and number 1, update all of your contacts. Make sure that you've imported all your recent email contacts so you're actually connected to them. Second, take a look at your profile picture. Maybe do an at-home photo shoot. Update your skills section. Do some recommendations for friends. I actually have a whole bunch of tips for your LinkedIn profile. You could spend a couple of days just creating some career insurance for yourself. And it's also a really nice way to reach out to old contacts. Idea number 6, video call 3 old friends. Think of your old camp friend, or an old roommate, or someone you went to school with, or your best friend from 3rd grade. We sometimes lose these connections over time because we're busy, we don't live in the same city anymore. This is the perfect time to reach out to an old friend. Text them, video chat them, call them, email them, and say, hey, during these crazy times, I was reminiscing about our good old times and I wanted to check in and see how you are. First, you're totally gonna make their day, right? Like that's gonna be like, oh, what? They were thinking of me. And second, it's a great thing for you to do to make sure that you are still feeling that sense of belonging, that sense of community. And you never know what old friendships might be rekindled. Idea number 7, start a virtual mastermind. So I've been doing virtual masterminds for years. I think my first mastermind was almost a decade ago. I love creating virtual groups. So what you want to do in a mastermind is find like-minded people that you respect. Once you get those people, I recommend 2 to 5 people, more than that, and it gets really hard to have discussions. Invite them to keep each other accountable. Invite them to have deep discussions. And then ask yourselves 3 questions. This is what I do with all my mastermind groups. The first question is, what has been your biggest success this month? You can celebrate together. Second, what's your biggest challenge this month? And then you can brainstorm together. And third, how can we support each other? If you do this with people you like and respect, you actually feel like you're growing together. I've had over 8 different mastermind groups over my career history. All of them have been virtual. This is the perfect time, as people are working from home more, to reach out to someone and say, hey, do you want to set up a group where we keep each other accountable? It's a great way to hit your goals, a great way to keep learning, and a great way to feel connected. Idea number 8, watch a documentary about something you know nothing about. So there's a great list of top documentaries on Netflix, and I've just been working my way through it. I am constantly surprised how little I know about so many different industries and niches and demographics. Some of my favorite documentaries are Salt, Fat, Heat, Acid. So good if you like cooking. Don't watch it while you're hungry though. I loved the Netflix documentary Cheer. Oh my goodness. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is so addictive to watch. And I love the documentary Wild Wild Country. Whew, crazy. Idea number 9, finish that book or start a book you've been meaning to start. So you know how we all have that book that we started a couple months ago or weeks ago or years ago and we just haven't finished it? Now is the time to have reading hour before you go to bed at night or family reading hour before dinner. It's a great time to finish books or start that new book you've been meaning to start. Some of my favorite authors, if you're looking for suggestions, is I love, if you're into beach reads, Elin Hilderbrand, pretty much anything she's written. If you're into sci-fi or YA novels, I love Scott Westerfeld. And if you're into science books, psychology books, I love anything by Dan Ariely. And of course, there's Captivate, if you haven't read it already. If you haven't read it already, that's a good one too. Idea number 10, take a free online course. There is so much educational content out there, hence this video. But there are also courses you can take that are structured ways to learn. So there's all kinds of platforms for this. For example, LinkedIn Learning, if your company subscribes to that, or if you want to buy a course, LinkedIn Learning has a ton of courses. I have 3 courses on there: Creating Great First Impressions, Communicating Nonverbally, and Communicating with Charisma. Those are pretty good ones. There's also platforms like Udemy and Coursera that have all kinds of free courses. And then of course, we have a ton of free courses on our website. We have a little course on how to be more likable, a course on 3 steps to have amazing conversation, a free course on how to deal with difficult people at work, and a free course on goal setting. All of those are up for your benefit. So take 1 class a day or 1 class a week and see if you can adopt a new skill. Idea number 11, learn how to be conversational in a new language. So I hear all the time that people want to learn a new language, but learning a new language is actually a huge undertaking, and often people feel like they set themselves up for failure because it's too big. I would say make it your goal to be conversational language so that you could travel there one day and get around, or maybe watch a movie and get the general gist of it. So just some interesting numbers for you here. People who know 250 to 500 words are considered beginners in a language. People who know 1,000 to 3,000 words can carry on everyday conversations. People who know 4,000 to 10,000 words are considered advanced language learners, and people who know more than 10,000 words are considered fluent. If you decide to learn 18 words a day during social distancing or quarantine, you will be a beginner in that language at the end of 14 days. Easy peasy. If you learn 30 words a day, you'll be well on your way to being conversational, and that's totally doable. Check out a free language app or ask a friend if they want to practice a language with you. It's a really great way to pass the time and a great investment in your career. Idea number 12, try sketchboarding your favorite TED Talk. So here's a couple tips on being more creative, and this is the time where we're able to invest in our creativity. So many people say, oh, I don't need to be creative, or I don't have a creative bone in my body. But actually, finding your creative calling can be incredibly fulfilling, and there's lots of time to do it now. Sketchboarding is a really fun one if you think visually or want to take your hand or try your hand at drawing. So sketchboarding is when you use basic visuals or graphics to communicate an idea. I love seeing sketchboards for TED Talks. So my challenge is take your favorite TED Talk and try to sketchboard it out. How would you make it a more visual TED Talk? Secretly, I'm also kind of hoping that someone's going to sketchboard my TED Talk because no one's done it yet, and I think it would be really, really cool. Idea number 13, create a vision board. So if you are very visual, but you're not a drawer or a painter, you could also try creating a vision board. So a vision board is when you take graphics, affirmations, quotes, and wishes and put them on a board in front of you so you can have your goals visualized. It's a really fun thing to do, especially if you have old magazines lying around or a great color printer. You put quotes on there, wishes, goals, hopes, a way to visualize your future. I love doing this. I think it's a really fun way to turn ideas into pictures, which makes it easier to imagine and attain. Idea number 14, take a virtual museum tour. So even though you can't go out into public right now, it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy some great public spaces virtually. You can take a virtual walk around the Smithsonian or the Guggenheim. You also can peruse Google's Arts and Culture tab to look at all these amazing paintings and artists. If you've been wanting to learn more about art or get stimulated creatively in a different way, taking virtual tours is a great way to use a public space without actually having to go there. Idea number 15. The last tip is the greatest tip, which is get creative with food. Have you been always trying to learn how to cook more vegan or have meatless Mondays? It will also help cut down on your grocery bill. Are you learning how to make bread or sushi? Do you want to learn how to bake? Now is the perfect time to try out some new recipes, try your hand in the kitchen. This is a great way to feel like you're eating out or eating something new by trying new recipes. A sister to this, by the way, is also gardening. See if you can plant a kitchen garden or a tea garden. That's a really fun way to get creative, and you can do it in your own backyard. I hope this video sparked some interesting creative ideas. Remember, there's so many different things we can do with our time. Being at home doesn't mean you have to be lonely. It doesn't mean you have to stop doing things exciting. It doesn't mean you have to stop learning things. Take this time to try something you've not done before. Learn something, call an old friend, create a playlist, take some photos. All those things are ways that we can leverage this time to build ourselves and stay positive. Stay healthy. Hey, I want to tell you one more thing. You are amazing. The question is, do you know how to share it? I'd love to help. I save my very best tips for my insider subscribers. Subscribe for free at scienceofpeople.com. I know your inbox is sacred, so I promise to send you only emails you will love. So I've decided during this time period, I'm going to try to learn how to make sourdough bread. That's like my big goal. I feel like it'd be really cool to bake your own bread, and sourdough is so amazing and so delicious. And so that's my thing that I'm going to learn this week. Tell me what yours is in the comments. I'm so curious what inspired you from this video, and maybe you'll give me some ideas for what I'm going to do next week.